Woo! So yesterday, Marvel got hit with their second Rotten Tomato. One's an anomaly. Two is a pattern. Oh no! Like with the first one for Eternals, it could be argued that was because Chloe Zhao is an artiste, right? And was given a lot of creative freedom and just didn't gel with the blockbuster genre. But Peyton Reed? He is very much a cog in Marvel's factory. So, as I said, two is a pattern, and a pattern is concerning. Let's discuss! We're going to talk about whether or not I think that Quantumania actually deserves a Rotten Tomato. We're going to talk about why I think that this is happening, why I think they got hit with it. And then also we're going to talk about potential consequences. What could Bob Iger do? Is there a way to fix this? What do I think is coming in the short-term future? And then we're going to go over some of the tea that Kevin Feige spilled yesterday. So buckle up! All right, so first off, does Quantumania itself actually deserve a Rotten Tomato? No, I don't believe so, which is why I didn't give it one, which some people pointed out yesterday. It's a better film than Thor: Love and Thunder, and if that film is fresh, so why wouldn't Quantumania be fresh? I didn't even give Eternals a Rotten Tomato because it wasn't so bad as it was pointless and didn't really, it was pointless in the larger scope of the MCU. And since the MCU is a connected story, live by the cinematic universe, die by the cinematic universe. And Eternals didn't feed into that at all. So I think the biggest takeaway here from the Rotten Tomatoes conversation, and Rotten Tomatoes did trend yesterday a little bit, is that they need a third option. As we've been saying, they need a not fresh, but you could still eat it tomato. But with the current system, I think you should really take a look at the percentage number, because anything from like a 50 to an 80% is a squishy tomato, right? I mean, like you wouldn't be excited to eat a 70% or 52% tomato, but I mean, you could. They had to kind of know this. I didn't think it was going to dip into rotten, as I said in my non-spoiler review. But I mean, they had to know they had a 60 or 70% tomato on their hands here. I mean, Kevin Feige served up not a particularly fresh tomato. He knew what he was putting on the plate. But so how does it get a Rotten Tomato? Well, I think what's really being judged here is how sloppy Marvel is becoming overall. It was one thing when they were taking over the industry with quality content, but it's quite another to do it with subpar content. First, the industry was the one that started to complain about Marvel. Remember, all those industry heavyweights and highly respected people started coming forward and saying, "What's happening? What are you doing?" Steven Spielberg was just caught on video the other day. It's been circulating online. It's a very funny video, particularly in this conversation, with Steven Spielberg, hugging Tom Cruise and whispering or shouting in his ear because it was a busy room. I think it was the Oscars luncheon or something. But anyway, he's like, "Tom, you single-handedly saved theatrical movies with Top Gun Maverick." And what Spielberg is really saying is you saved the non-comic book movie. And that's true. That's true. Then, with the deluge of subpar content, the fans have started to complain. Oh, when the fans start to complain is when it's really bad. And I think that it was the Fox acquisition, way too many toys that fans were demanding. I mean, DC has struggled with this for a long time too, the push and pull of, what the fans want and what can realistically be delivered. DC has paid the price. They've made other mistakes as well over there. But anyway, Marvel benefits from having a lot of trust from fans. But people are like, "I want my favorite character. I want my favorite character now. How long do we have to wait?" I mean, it is a little weird that you have to wait like years to get the characters that you want. But I mean, I think now maybe people might complain a little bit less because you can see what the result of that is. Just a whole lot of, not very good stuff. Let's just stick with subpar. I don't think we're in crap territory just yet. But we're close. I can see we have a crap view from our subpar territory. It's right over there. Uh-oh. Start going in the other direction. But yeah, so fans are upset. Too many toys to play with. And then also the company demand for Disney Plus shows. That really hurt Kevin Feige. He did say he's going to pull back. We'll talk about that. But that was a 1-2 punch that I think has not so much done Kevin Feige in, but he's stumbled. He's stumbling. Because there's just too much content. And then also, this is Kevin Feige's own fault, deciding to adapt Marvel Now, which, as we've been discussing for a while now, really failed as an initiative in the comic book space. So it's been so weird to me that Kevin Feige thought that he could make it work. I'm like, this was already rejected. And it was already a huge problem for it's like, you know what's happening now? This happened to comics. So, that's not only, I think, speaks to, not having the hubris to feel that, you could do something where so many other talented creatives failed, but also I think it shows how important an engine comic books are. And I feel bad for the current state of the comic book industry. But that's a whole nother conversation. They are churning out crap over there. All right, so with all that blood in the water from the industry and from fans, the media, which is smack in the middle, was like, well, let's dive in here too. So I think that the media is starting to complain now as well. And Daddy Iger is watching. You better believe he's watching. Just last week, he was talking about accountability at his new Disney. He was like, now we're going to start holding people accountable. And you're like, do you promise? Because we're going to hold you accountable for saying you're holding people accountable. And as he fought off former Marvel head honcho Isaac Perlmutter, interestingly enough, Perlmutter's trying to take over Disney through the stock. Iger revealed that Kevin Feige could be fired. We didn't even think it was possible. Bob Iger was like, no, it could happen. And then Bob Iger made it clear that only he could save Kevin Feige, which means that if you read between the lines, it means that Bob Iger's making it clear that Kevin Feige's fate is in his hands. Bob Iger is aggressive. I hope he's aggressive. Aggressiveness, I think, is really needed. Now, to be clear, I don't think Kevin Feige's going anywhere for a long time. I think he's fine. But here's what I think Disney should do, and that's bring back Johnny Favs. That's right, Johnny Favs. In the beginning, it was Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau. That's the two people. That was, speaking of 1-2 punches, I think people are underestimating what Favreau contributed to this. And Favreau did a lot to shape the MCU and lay the foundation that worked so well through Endgame. In fact, Favreau was against killing off Tony Stark in Endgame. And while I loved that moment in the movie, and I loved Tony's journey, taking Tony, Steve, and Natasha off the board all at the same time has maybe in hindsight turned out to not be a very good idea. Favreau, who just got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, good for him, with Kevin Feige there to support him, he might have had his ups and downs career-wise, like for every elf, there's a Cowboys and Aliens, and you're like, whew, that was bad. Zathura? No thanks. But for Disney, Favreau has been a consistent heavy hitter, from Jungle Book and The Lion King to, and now you'll see where I'm going here, Star Wars! That's right. Who fixed Star Wars? Why, I believe it was Jon Favreau, along with, of course, Dave Filoni. They didn't replace Kathleen Kennedy. She's still there, too. But they kind of took over. They certainly repaired a lot of the damage. So why couldn't Favreau do that? Jon Favreau is probably making so much money, by the way, and he deserves it. I mean, if you can deliver, you should get a cut of what you deliver. And he is delivering. Whew! He's Mr. Fix-It over there. He's the fixer. All right, Bob Iger should have a special phone in his office just to call Jon Favreau and be like, you got to come over here and fix something else. And then send him back to Disney live action. Live action adaptations, please. All right, so Kevin Feige has already started taking on co-producers. It used to be Kevin Feige was the only producer on all Marvel projects. But now Marvel is so bloated that even Kevin Feige can't handle it all. So Johnny Favs could at least, be, if not a co-producer on some of these films, I think he could come on at least as an advisory position to Marvel. Maybe even like right under Kevin Feige. I'd be like, please. I think this is a great idea, and Favreau is already part of the family. He's already done it with Star Wars. He already has history with Marvel. I don't think it would be embarrassing, and I think it would be really, really welcome. Kevin Feige should even consider calling him himself. He's like, I don't want Bob Iger to do this to me. I'll do it to myself. So here's what I think needs to be done. First off, we as the media and fans and the industry just wants this nightmare to be over. But anyway, we need to realize that we're in for a rough ride through Secret Wars. This ain't going to change through Secret Wars, even though a lot of these films are not in production yet. But I think they're too far along to change. I think company policy has to change, and that's difficult. That is a hard turn to make. It's certainly a slow turn to make. Because Hollywood is right now burning through a nostalgia kick that's even bled over to DC with the upcoming Flash movie and all those Batmen. Do I want to see my old favorites back again? Sure I do. Where are Mike's Men? I'm very excited. But this is more like a parade than official movies and shows. I think we just need to accept that. And who doesn't love a parade? And while I think there might, because like, come on, No Way Home was not a particularly well-made movie, but it was certainly a fun ride. As I said, I felt it was a ride / Saturday Night Live sketch, but that's fun stuff too. You know, there was good, to be fair, No Way Home had some, when they were focusing just on Tom Holland's Spider-Man, there was actually some very, very good stuff in there. And we'll talk about that actually. We'll talk about Spider-Man 4 in just a moment. So anyway, yeah, but I do think that there will be some gems in the MCU upcoming movie slate that will get us through this. I feel very good about Deadpool 3. I think Blade and Fantastic Four, because they're introducing new characters, I feel good about that because I thought Shang-Chi worked so well. I love Shang-Chi. I think Thunderbolts, quite frankly, could be really good. I'm actually very excited about Thunderbolts. I'm a little nervous. Oh, I hope it's good. Oh, they better not mess up Thunderbolts. And I feel about Thunderbolts the same way I do about Captain America: New World Order, and that's interesting because they're in the same vertical. And I think those are on really solid ground, but I think they're bloated and being given too much to do, which we'll discuss. But anyway, as for upcoming shows, I actually feel very good about this slate, with the exception of Echo, which I'm like, why do we have this appetizer to Daredevil? But as for a lot of the movies that I don't feel good about, I feel there could be more Rotten Tomatoes in Marvel's future. Not only is Kevin Feige inexplicably bringing back Rick and Morty writers who've already failed him. You're not like, maybe this is the one good Rick and Morty writer who could, because I think Rick and Morty writers don't understand 3-act structure, because they don't write 3-act structure. Which is crucial to screenplays. So Rick and Morty writers, not good. Get rid of these people. I mean, especially with the current scandal over there, what a writer's room to tap into. Disconnect before we're infected as well. And then also, even with Destin Daniel Cretton doing Kang Dynasty, Jeff Loveness, who wrote Quantumania, get him off of that right now, please. All right, so anyway. These movies are also buckling under the weight of being asked to juggle too many characters and introduce too many concepts. When you see Quantumania, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, I see a lot of talented people here, but you just handed them a very bad. It's really a lot to do with the scripts. Craig Mazin's phone should be ringing over at The Last of Us. All right, so anyway. Captain America: New World Order, for instance, is supposed to be about vibranium, adamantium, and the proliferation of Hulks. This is about arms proliferation overall. That could actually be very interesting. And, they bring over the writer from the series, so I feel a little bit better about that. But it makes me nervous. And I know that they are rewriting that script as we speak, because even they know it's garbledy-gook. They're like, there's too much going on in here, man, but what are we going to do? But how are they also going to sell President Red Hulk? That was confirmed yesterday. That's been a rumor that everybody's pretty much known for a while now, but Kevin Feige made it official, and he'll be played by Harrison. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't getting paid so much money for it. So I think we're very nervous about that. And to me, it seems as silly as having the Statue of Liberty holding up Cap's shield to have a president hulking out and running into battle. It sounds like, a certain ex-president's trading cards. And I would prefer to keep politics out of the MCU. And I don't think, by the way, that the MCU can handle such delicate political discussions. Even The Boys struggles, because they run into trouble between, they're clearly condemning a lot of this stuff, which I think they should, but yet some people see it as glorification. And so that's why The Boys is getting even more aggressive in the condemnation, because they're like, uh-oh. It's a very fine line and a very hard thing to do. And you're like, how on earth does Marvel even think they could wade into this pool? Why would they? Why? They have enough problems. Why bring that upon themselves when The Boys is already, doing it as best as possible? I'm very worried about that. I really don't like the idea of President Red Hulk. All right, so anyway, on that note, there sure was a lot of Marvel news yesterday, all straight from Kevin Feige, who wanted to talk about anything but Quantumania in his press interviews for the film. They were like, let's talk about what's coming up. What a weird thing, because how are the fans going to take that? Don't you want them to see Quantumania this weekend? But instead, Kevin Feige's already looking to the future. He gave the interview version of the end credit scenes dominating the movies these days, which is fascinating in and of itself, because that's very much what's happening. So you know what a missile? So in addition to being like the end credits, dominating the conversation over the movie itself, you know when a missile is headed directly for a fighter jet and the pilot, in an effort to keep from getting a direct hit, deploys flares? That's what Kevin Feige is doing. He is throwing up flares, baby. So let's do a rundown of some of the biggest, shiniest flares that he threw up yesterday. He said they're definitely going to pull back on Disney Plus shows, which I think is fantastic. As I said, I think even the most hardcore Marvel fan would agree it's just too much. I would say 2 movies and 2 shows a year is maybe even still too much, but I think they do have a lot to get through. I mean, Kevin Feige's dance card, he's got a whole bunch of them taped together at this point. He's got a dance week. It's ridiculous. So he's got to do, I think that's probably what he should do, 2 and 2. Deadpool 3 will be rated R. Awesome. Surely for language, but hopefully also for stabby. I think with other MCU films, I've talked before about maybe limiting who can see this movie, but I think, I get a little bit nervous about that and how you could use these characters in the theme parks, which Disney so much wants to do. But I think at this point, the MCU films are becoming so diluted and similar that it's crucial to have that R rating to keep Deadpool 3 authentic and unique. So let's just do it. And I trust Ryan Reynolds is very savvy. He will make sure, talk about being able to walk a fine line. If anyone can do that, it's Ryan Reynolds, in my opinion. Bucky, it's been revealed, is the de facto leader of the Thunderbolts, not Yelena Belova, aka the new Black Widow. Look at the concept art. I don't like this. I feel Kevin Feige might be reacting to MCU criticism here, but I think this was the wrong reaction. I would accept Bucky and Yelena as co-captains. That would be fine with me, and them spending so much time together and bickering could really lead to an interesting romance, right? Not His Girl Friday, but like those great, like old school, like Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant. Let's go with that, equals, and I think that that could be really fun. However, I did like the platonic friendship between Nat and Steve. I thought that was nice to show that women and men can be friends. I thought that was cool too. But it's canon in the comics that Bucky and Natasha dated, actually, but I'd be fine with moving that to Yelena Belova, and I think that would maybe work. If he gets the lead job and she just has to be the girlfriend, I'm not gonna like that. She got demoted. I'm not happy. I wouldn't be very upset. So I think they should be co-captains. All right, so again, you haven't started filming yet. Please fix that now. They are definitely making Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland and working on the script. And I'm sure Amy Pascal is like, I'm supposed to be involved in all these discussions and announcements. Technically she is producing. I don't know. I like Amy Pascal. I think she's really, she had a great comeback. Good for her. She did some things she obviously shouldn't have. But I think she's turned out some great films. I loved Little Women. I thought that was just phenomenal. I'm excited. She's producing the Tom Holland Fred Astaire upcoming movie. That sounds fantastic. Also the other, and she did the Spider-Verse movie. She produced that. But a lot of the other Spider-Man stuff is so bad that, you just don't know what to make of that situation. So all right. So anyway, we're still waiting to hear the details on Tom Holland's deal. How many pictures is it for, right? But the ending of Spider-Man No Way Home was so perfect. And I thought it did such a good job of finally moving Peter Parker out of high school. Finally, again, let's get him out of there. We spent enough time in high school. And making him more like he is in the comics today. And so I liked that. I'm very excited for the next chapter. I think it's going to be really great. I hope they didn't hire a Rick and Morty writer. And then big Fantastic Four news is coming. I'm sure likely the casting. Kevin Feige said any day now. Maybe after the box office report for, I snooted, it was so silly, after Quantumania. Dance, Feige, dance, jazz hands. Flare, flare, flare. But yeah, that would do it. And then also, he says that the MCU already knows how mutants will be introduced. But with the writers that they currently have, again, please take another look at that plan, because I didn't like how you introduced mutants already through Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel is obsessed with the Avengers. What is she doing in the X-Men section? I don't like it. She's clearly in the Avengers camp. I know that they can't make her an Inhuman because Kevin Feige personally hates Jeff Loeb. But this ain't it either. So, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence. I'm like, oh, you mean your current team of not good writers already came up with an idea? I think you should press delete. All right, so that's the current state of the MCU, which I think is clearly in flux and clearly not on stable footing. What do you think of the current state of the MCU? How would you fix it? And are you planning to see Quantumania in theaters as a full price ticket, as a matinee, or are you going to wait for Disney Plus? The industry and now the media have spoken. All that's left is for fans to speak with this opening weekend number. If it's under 100 million, again, maybe we'll get some really great news on Monday or Tuesday. And also, do you think there are more Rotten Tomatoes in Marvel's future? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.